Hey guys, it's Christine Bertram coming to you live from the Hive on a Sunday afternoon. Oh man, it's very not often that I do a live on a Sunday. And so it's one of those things when I wake up in the morning, I think about, what am I doing today? And it's like, oh yeah, I have a live. So, and this is probably actually the last live that I have on a Sunday because am actually switching this class to be on Mondays at 1 p.m. And that is because I want to give myself the Sunday back. And I am actually starting my leave of absence from work. Hi, Sandy Wicklander, in February. So this class is actually going to be held on a Monday. I think it's February 7th. And you don't have to worry. Hi, Cindy Runtry. You don't have to worry if you can't make it live at 1 because the Facebook Live always lives on forever. So I know that a lot of people do work during the day, and so they might not be able to catch it live, or maybe they take their lunch break at that time. But I'm going to try something new and switch this one to be actually on a Monday. So thanks for sharing, Cindy. So I am trying to also, while I talk to you guys, try to find myself so I can watch along with you. And I was distracted while I was looking for it. Hi, Marsha Long. So let's see here. I know to look for this outfit with the bright orange. So let's see where you are. And I was having computer issues before. It sucked away about 30 minutes of my time. I am due for a new computer. It has been, I got it in 2012 or 2011. So it's been 10 years and the screen is starting to go out on me. So it will just like go white. Hi, Ann Bellinger. Hi, Karen Wetstein. Hi, Lori Helgeson. And Deanna Stell. Woohoo! It will be great for me to have a Sunday off. Yes. Hi, Deirdre. I'm so happy you got your box of goodies. Yay. So, yeah, my computer, though, I had to restart it and get all my tabs back up. Hi, Ann Adams. And lo and behold, it came back up. And Tyler says to me, when are you going to get your new computer? And you know what? It takes time to figure out. I know what I want, but they don't make my exact computer anymore. They stopped making it in 2017. Hi, Penny Powell. And so I could get a used one on Amazon, but I don't know how comfortable I feel about buying a used computer on Amazon. It just doesn't seem like something that would be a good thing for me to do. I don't know. I guess I don't trust that part of the system because you don't know what's wrong with that computer and you might get a lemon. So, but you never know if you buy a new computer and you get a lemon anyways. So, hi, Holly Poplo. So, yeah, so Penny Powell says it's chilly Florida, 54 degrees and a low of 32 tonight. Hi, Kathleen Bardier. So it's funny, I lived in Miami for 5 years back in my late 20s, and coming from Wisconsin, it was crazy when it got down to 54 because everybody would be running around in winter coats. Hi, Stacy Burns. Hi, Laura Sullivan. And here I would be running around with nothing except for my shirt on, you know, maybe a long sleeve shirt, but no jacket. But it's crazy now that I've moved home, I'm always cold. So I can be in an 80-degree outside day and I still need a little cover up. So my internal body temperature completely did a reverse. So I'm always cold. So Tyler calls me a popsicle, that he's dating a popsicle. Hi, Carol Jefferson. So such exciting stuff. Hi, Millie Kindle. We have the Let's Just Stamp class today. Hi, Denise. Hi, Cheryl Thomas. Hi, Kathy King, just peeking in. I'm excited that you guys are all here with me on a Sunday afternoon. We had a disappointing Packer game last night. We had my company Christmas party, and they had a live band, and they were watching the Packer game on the big screens at the same time. And so it was a little crazy night, and everybody was bummed out that our Packers, they lost 13-10. And it's so crazy. They had such a wonderful season and everybody was thinking they were going to go a long way. And here they lose the first game of the playoffs and now they're done. So hi, Susie Snow. So we had some downers last night at the end of the game and that's how it goes. So I wasn't really paying much attention. I was just dancing. Hi, Jean Terwilliger. Yeah, I like to dance. And Footloose came on. So I had to kick up my Saturday night shoes. So, oh yeah, so it was good. So we're doing Let's Just Stamp today, you guys. I don't know if I have many announcements. Hi, Barbara Moynan. We did the swap card showcase on Friday night. So in case you didn't get to that and you want to watch, we did about 2 hours worth of cards from swaps that I was in. Hi, Ethel King from New Jersey. Hi, Karen. So if you guys missed that on Friday, you should go back and watch the replay. Make sure you got your screenshot buttons ready so that you can take some screenshots. If you look back at the board here, you guys, oh my goodness, I had Lynn Beasley and Karen and Mo, Kathy Groves, and who else? Ann Bellinger, Deanne. I got you guys all listed, Janet Wright. I got you guys all filled up on this next board. And I'm one little square away from doing a drawing. It's right there, that number 21 in the bottom. It's that greeny yellow one. Right there. I did it. That was not comfortable to put my arm in that direction, but there's one little square left. So the next person who puts in a $50 order will get that square, and we'll do a drawing when that happens. I have class in person on Monday night, so I would either do it live on Monday, and I'm thinking that's probably when we'll do it. So that's exciting. That's board number 2. So then we'll start board number 3. What else? This is the Let's Just Stamp class. And so the first class that I ever did with this via online was back in July. And in the description for this actual video right now, I published the link for that Facebook Live. So in case you are a new stamper or new to me and just starting out and need to know some things about stamping, I did a really in-depth video on that very first one. And I figured that one went good, and it was about an extra hour of time spent talking about crafting and paper crafting and the things that you need, like the 5 things like paper, adhesives, ink, stamps, and oh man, what's the 5th one? Okay, stamps, ink, paper, adhesives, and cutting, like a paper cutter. Hi, Donna. And so that very first video, all you have to do is copy and paste that URL link into your browser, and you should be able to watch that video. And then we made the Blossoms and Blooms cards back then. And then every video that I did after with this Let's Just Stamp series, I don't go back and reiterate all that stuff. I just kind of get right into the stamping. Hi, Karen. And so it is when we design these cards, Diane Bogenhagen and Diane does the in-person class, and I do this live version. Hi, Marcia. We design them with the thought of that this is going to appeal to beginners. People don't generally have a die cutting machine or an embossing machine, and so when we design these, we keep it limited. Hi, Sue Wagner. And so there's not any embossing, there's not die cutting. We will throw in a punch from time to time, because punches are, for a beginner, something that is an affordable type of item to add into your vault of stamping supplies. And so we did in this class today, we used a circle punch. And so generally we don't try to do that, but it was perfect for the compass. And then you guys didn't have to fussy cut it. So we pulled in watercolor pencils for this class, some blender pens to do that. So, and I don't use watercolor pencils a lot in my classes. So this will be a good class to show you what watercolor pencils are all about. Just a few blends got used. And we're also gonna do masking for the sun. So excited about this class, and I am generally drawn to feminine cards, but these are awesome because they're masculine. They could go for women as well. So, but if somebody loves sailing or lighthouses, or just the compass one is so cool. So these cards are very appealing to everybody. So, but you guys know I love my flowers and I love my purple. So, so for me, it's easy to create that way. But then we get pigeonholed into one type of category of card. So this one's nice because it's more universal. Hi, Nanette. Okay, so we're going to do a little roll call because we do have, I believe, 23 people who signed up for the online version. And with that being said, I have 1 set of cards left. I had made 24, so I have 1, and I checked with Diane before class, and she has 2 extra kits. So if anybody's interested at the end of or throughout class, just email me or text me, Facebook message or call, get a hold of me, and just let me know if you're interested in a set of these cards. So in all, we would have 3 sets left. And this class was $15. If you want your kits mailed, it's an extra $5 for shipping, so it'd be $20. And otherwise, it was free with a $45 order. So Without further ado, let's do roll call. I keep getting this little button that says my internet might be crazy, but we'll see if I haven't froze yet, so that's exciting. Hi, Angela Knutson and Deanna Stell, Julie Bierschbach, Feline Mays, Penny Powell, Carissa Alberts, Lynn Beasley, Barb Moynan, Gwen Petrashek. I'm just going to keep saying Petrashek because that's easier for me, and I need you to correct me one more time so I can remember the enunciation. Sandy Wicklander, Barb Barkow, Linda Grady, Sue Wagner, Susan Reed, Laura Sullivan, Karen Stagg, Amy Ponce, Terry Schabel, Diane Billhartz, Karen Wetstein, Jean Addis, and Jean Addis, this was her free class. She actually earned this, or won this, I should say, because of Craft Roulette. I participated as a guest crafter on Craft Roulette back in December, and I gave away a free class, and this is the class that Jean picked because she was the winner chicken dinner. Janet Deshane and Cheryl Thomas. So, and help me remember later, we had 10 people place orders to get this class for free. So I will be doing a door prize drawing for people who placed an order. So with those 10 people, we'll do a random number generator later. So yay! Hello, Penny Powell, my friend as well. So a lot of you are here watching live, and if just always remember, if you can't make it when I'm here live, you can always catch the replay. So that's what's awesome about the card kits is you can really set the time to your schedule when it's convenient for you. The video format allows you to watch along at any point. And what's nice about the live format, though, you guys, is you can ask questions as we're going through because I watch them like a hawk. Oh, Jean's here. Woohoo. She's so excited. Yay. So the one thing that for my new people that are stamping with me, just remember this is for you to have fun. I have been told many a time that I'm a very fast stamper and I put my cards together kind of quickly. And so you should never look at that you have to try to keep up with me. I know that time is something that we don't get back, right? That's very true. And so I like to kind of go through and know that you guys can always refer back to the video. So if you kind of don't keep up with me, so generally what I've been told is people like to watch the video live with me and then they go back and make their cards later, or they try to keep up as much as possible. But then if I work on the next card, they kind of set the card away and come back to it, or set it off to the side and come back to it. So don't let me stress you out. So I like to, walk through how to put the card together and how I have any tips or tricks for it, and then go from there. So just that's what I've heard. So I hear a lot of people like to watch the live so that they can ask questions, and then they always go back. And you should have also received the free PDF tutorial from me. So the 23 people should have gotten that, as well as the in-person people that attended class with Diane. That got sent out, and my whole team received the PDF tutorial. So we're in tip-top shape for that, you guys. Woohoo! Okay. So without further ado, we will start on our first card, and I'll flip the camera down. Just remember that as you guys have questions or if you need help, just let me know. I can answer that stuff, like any questions, pretty easily as I'm watching them. So let me flip down, you guys, and show you the stamp set. So when we pick the stamp set for the Let's Just Stamp, we try to pick a stamp set that has sentiments and focal image. And we like to not duplicate the images if we can avoid it. So like in this case, there's a lighthouse. And so we use the lighthouse and the birds on this card. On this one, we featured the compass. And then on this one, we featured the sailboats. And so the only thing that really didn't get used was the rope. And then we pulled in a lot of the sentiments. So that's one of our goals when we pick the stamp set for Let's Just Stamp. So, and then at the end of class, you guys, I have next month Let's Just Stamp. So I'm going to set these here so I don't forget to show them to you guys. Hi, Bonnie Kelly. Thanks for sharing. Hi, Jean. Or is it Jean? Jean. It's a Geann. So is it Jean or Jeanne Kohler from Oregon? You'll have to tell me. I like it when people kind of tell me how to say their name so I say it correctly, as long as I remember. All right, so let's start with the card that features the lighthouse first. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of the plastic so that you guys aren't blinded by the shininess. And so I'll set that here. So this one features the Simply Marvelous paper. Hi, Teresa. The Simply Marvelous paper from the Fries. Jeanne. Perfect. Okay, thanks, Jeanne. So it features the Simply Marvelous paper from the Sale-a-bration offering. And we need basic gray, so let's grab that. So we used those two colors. This one's the one where we need our crumbs, our crumb cakes, our blends and crumb cake. And you guys, I said crumbs. All right, and a sentiment on the inside. It looks like, let hope be your anchor through the storms of life. So let's grab that sentiment, and I think that's it. And the anchor. So I might not have the anchor out yet. So there it is. So when you get your stamps from Stampin' Up, they come in a case like this. They can be either red rubber or photopolymer. Like photopolymer is like a clear type of stamp like that. Regardless, you will need to have your own set of acrylic blocks for these. And that's what these stamps are already set up. And you can interchange them as you go. And so we have all of our stamps lined up here. Okay, when you get a card kit from me, you get all of the paper and the ribbon and the embellishments, and it comes in an envelope. And you just have to be very careful when you open things up, not that they fly out or the static electricity keeps them in the envelope. I get it asked a lot, like, where is my piece? And it's like, well, did you look in your envelope? It's generally always in your envelope or on the floor. So when you have paper, it usually comes in 8.5 by 11 or 12 by 12. In this case, the Stampin' Up cardstock, if it is so sweet you put a Post-it in for the sun. Yes, I didn't know. Okay, when we're going to talk about that, Deanne, what that Post-it note is in case you guys don't have it. So when you get cardstock, it's usually 8.5 by 11. And then what I do is I score it at 4 1/4 for you and cut it at 5 1/2. And that's what gives you a traditional, it's referred to A2, so an A2 card size. So Diane and I, we really like layers. We really do. And so when and especially when I'm designing with Diane, we layer a second mat on the inside. It just makes it look more polished and complete. And so in your kit, you guys are gonna notice you have 2 pieces of basic gray that are the same size, 4 by 5 1/4. And one's inside matte, one's outside matte. And then you have a piece of basic white and your Simply Marvelous that are both, I work in 1/16 of an inch, so it's 3 13/16 by 5 and a 1/16. Now, if that bothers you, you could always, if you're cutting your own cardstock at home, you could do 5 by 3 3/4, which keeps it to the quarter, which is fine. So one is for our inside and one is for our outside mat. The reason I like 1/16 is it doesn't give you too much of a gray. It gives you just enough of a gray border. And then you guys, there's 3 more pieces of paper in your kit, and they are for the matting of the Lighthouse, and then it's balmy blue and basic white and basic gray. In your kit, you also have a little bit of linen thread, as well as some of the classic matte dots in the white. All 3 of the cards use these classic matte dots. One used the basic gray, one used black, and one used white. And so those, I can't recall at this point if I put all of your dots in one card kit or if I did cut them up and put them separately. Linda Freund is in Florida. Love watching your videos. It is so warming. Yes. Okay. So Linda, are you from this area originally, the Fond du Lac area or like Wisconsin? Because your last name of Freund, I went to high school with Freunds. I grew up with Freunds. We have neighbors that are Freunds. And so it's a, what we refer to as a Holy Land name because, because there's a lot of Freunds in the area. Okay. So I'm curious where you're originally from. Hey, Sherry Martin, thanks for sharing. Okay, so let's do our stamping first. So let's grab the 2 pieces of basic white and we will get them stamped first. Now, because these are red rubber stamps, I'm not gonna pull out my piercing mat because we don't need that extra cushion underneath. And so I'm gonna just grab a scrap in case I need it. So the Lighthouse is stamped in basic gray, and the cases are like compact cases, so those that are new, if you get little hairs on them like fuzzies, you want to pull them off and get a paper towel and clean up your finger. Hang on. Otherwise, you're going to get ink everywhere. But there was a fuzzy on there, and that fuzzy will get into your stamp and then onto your paper, and then it messes up the stamping. Oh man, let's get that out of there. So when you have a bigger block like this, it's sometimes easier to actually put the block down and hold on to the ink pad. And so stamping it upside down. And the other option though too is if you're okay, you could just stamp into it that way. So we're gonna stamp our Lighthouse on this little guy, and don't worry, it's kind of centered left to right, top to bottom, and try to get it straight. And then the thing with the ink is you want to give it a chance to marinate. Marinating is like letting the ink hit the paper. I try to teach people not to rush through their stamping. Give the paper and ink some time to mingle so that you end up with a nice, crisp, clear image. Don't need to rock the stamp. I'm just putting pressure right where the lighthouse is, and then you can see that it gives you a nice, crisp image. Now, if you stamp your lighthouse crooked, it's okay. Just flip over your paper and you can stamp the back side. It's okay. But I think I'm liking that, how it is. I always try to stamp off a little bit, but there really wasn't much to stamp off, right? Because a lot of the ink did transfer to right there. Okay, hi Marcia Coolabert. All right, so that's it for our lighthouse. Whoa, nope, I'm gonna put that like that. All right, then on our inside, oh, we have birds. Let's do our birds real quick. So the birds, you have to be very careful with this stamp because if you squish too hard with this, you're definitely gonna get a halo if you get ink around the edge like that. So you just have to be, oh, Marcia, you're in Melbourne, Florida. Awesome. Very awesome. Oh, so here you guys, watch what I did here. You know, we live in Tennessee, but my husband grew up in Minnesota. We are snowbirds. Oh, but you're originally from Minnesota, so you're from up north. Oh, okay. You must watch Kelly too, my cousin. Awesome. You know what? I'm related to Freund's. So, all right. So you see how there's 3 birds here, but there's 2 here, and we did 1 over there. Okay. I shouldn't have inked this up really quickly because that is a little trickery that we do. So just because there's 3 birds doesn't mean you have to stamp all 3 at the same time. So, okay, I wanted to make sure that was dry. So to make that happen, what I did is I inked up 1 bird, and you know, it might help if you mask. So let's just grab a little piece of like washi tape, or if you grab a piece of Post-it note. But what you do is you mask off 1 of the birds, and you ink up the other 2, right? But you have to remember to take that off, right? And then these 2 are gonna go over here. Now, good. That's gave you the 2 there. Now you have to clean this off again, and then clean your stamps. Now this is wet, and you need to make sure that that wetness is off, and you don't want any residue. So now we're gonna stamp or mask off the 2 little guys here, just like that. Hey, Linda Hodge, thanks for sharing. No notification. So you know what might help you, Linda, is set a reminder on your phone actually for your actual alarm clock to go off versus having Facebook rely on sending you a notification. So you know we can't do this bird quite yet. I'll explain to you in a second why. Because we need to do our sun actually. So Deanne mentioned about the mask in the kit, you guys. Everybody, I gave you a Post-it note, and I had cut out, actually I think my mom did it. She punched out your 3/4 inch circle here. And I didn't know who had a circle or punch or who didn't. If you're just starting out, you might not have that. So what you need to do though with this mat is you need to place it over the top of this area where the sun is gonna go. And I use Daffodil Delight and a sponge dauber. So with this sponge dauber, you dip into the yellow ink, and what you're gonna do is just blend and create a little sun in the corner, okay? And you just kind of go around in a circle, and you can make it as dark or as light as you want. And then when you have it how you want it, you just take the Post-it note off, and now you've created a sun. So you might have a circle stamp at home that you could use, but in case you didn't, I included that. Now, with my card though, you can see that it looks like there's a little bit of sunlight, like little rays coming off the sun. I did that by putting ink on the edge of the dauber, and then what you do is kind of drag out lightly from the sun in an outward fashion all the way around. If you need a little more ink, don't hesitate to get it. But what I'm doing is just dragging that color out so it looks like little rays are coming, soft little rays are coming off the sun. You can do as little as you want. You don't have to do any at all. But so you can see by pulling that color out, it actually looks like the sun's illuminating its rays. Okay, we had to do that before we do our bird. And because if we would have stamped our bird and then did our smearing around with the yellow, it would have smeared the gray ink. So I have that inked up really good, but I'm gonna I call it hover puffing. You didn't see me do that, but what that does is helps re-wet it, re-moisten the stamp. And so that bird now can fly through the sun like it's soaring in the sky. Okay, right? So had we done the bird and then tried to smear, it would have taken that gray ink from the bird and made it all blotchy, which is not what we wanted. Okay, so I'm happy I remembered to do that first. Hi, Susan Reid, not late. We just literally got started. We just did some stamping. So you're good. We just got on our first card. So on our inside though, you guys, we have to do a little as well. So that sun, we're gonna pull that out again. So grab your mask again, and we're gonna put that in the top corner. So I am an avid inside stamper of focal images. Sometimes I don't even care about sentiments in the inside. It's the focal images that I love on the inside to help complete the whole card. So I want to put a sun in that top corner, and then the same concept of taking the edge and just pulling out. So this is what it looks like before, and you can see I started to do it right there. And I'm just gonna work my way up and around. And then I'm also going to go back with a little bit more ink and pull a little bit more out. So it looks like it's illuminating, it's the sunshine and the rays. That might be better, there. So that's what I did with that. Now we can stamp a few more birds. Hi, Linda Hall. Okay, in basic gray, did you see I almost went to the yellow? Oh, you know what, we're gonna do the sentiment first. So let hope be your anchor through the storms of life. And that's gonna go near the top. I always go about a third of the way down. It gives me room to write my love note on the bottom. If you are not an avid writer, you could stamp your sentiment more in the middle and then just sign your name at the bottom. It's completely up to you. But I like to stamp my sentiment in the top half. And then now we can stamp, I'm gonna do all three birds over on the side here. And I am going to put the one so it's kind of in the sun, right? So it looks kind of cool like that. And I did stamp my sentiment slightly crooked, but I wasn't going to redo it because I had my sun done already. Now we're going to do an anchor in the bottom right-hand corner. Excuse me. So when you guys get stamp pads from Stampin' Up, they are foam pads. They are not your traditional pads that are fabric from back in the day. So I remember stamping when I was a little kid, and they were always fabric pads, and you had to grind into them to get the ink. You do not need to do that with these. It's just tap, 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 and then as long as you let it marinate on the paper, you can see how nice and crisp the images get, and you don't really have to squish really hard. Okay, so then when I'm done stamping, I generally close up my ink pads right away so that they don't dry out. They are water-based, so that can happen if you leave them sit all day. And then you could always just re-ink them. And what we can do now is get a little bit glue happy. Not much, but we're gonna glue this, and we're also gonna glue this, and we're going to glue this. So this Marvelous paper is like marble on one side, and then this reminds me of two things: satin bed sheets, or it looks like molten metal that is colored baby blue. All right, so I like to, as long as I have my glue in my hand, I like to glue as many things as I can. So I'm gonna glue these three things because there's nothing really needing, nothing stopping me. So this one is my inside, but it needs to first go on this gray mat. So we'll adhere that to that. And then this balmy blue goes to the basic gray. Christine, why would my stamps be real sticky on the stamp pad? I have never had that before. Do you mean that, is it the sailing home stamps that are red rubber, Linda? And what do you mean by sticky on the stamp pad? Like, or are you talking about photopolymer stamps? Or do you mean like that they get stuck in the pad? Is it like a really juicy pad that kind of like suctions? So this marvelous paper needs to go on this basic gray mat. So yay, Barbara Mills, you found me, woohoo! I am not the best or the worst stamper, but I am the slowest stamper. I think my Stampin' Up! Slides have been in storage for the last 6 months. Let's see what else you wrote here. As you wait for your home to be completed, woohoo! I bet you can't wait to see it all again. Oh, that's the crazy thing about stamps, you guys, and your ink and your papers, is it's there for you when you need it, like when you're ready for it. And it's not like they go bad. I mean, adhesive can dry out. This can get glued down, and this can get glued down now. It's slow and steady wins the race, right? We don't have to worry about racing. The part about stamping that you have to remember is that you need to enjoy the process. We had class yesterday, and I have people that stamp at all different speeds. And the thing that I have to remind people the most is, do not compare yourself to the person sitting over there. That's just how they stamp. That's how they assemble. That's just their nature. And you can't say, oh, I'm not fast enough, right? I'm not doing it the right way. No, it's about the process and enjoying the process. And I really have to ingrain in people's minds that it's not a race. You're just here to have fun, right? So this just goes right here, centered. So the thing I love about the liquid glue is, you guys, I can wiggle this around until I get it exactly where I want it. And I'm just eyeballing all the way around as I go. Not finished until the inside and the envelopes are decorated. That is great, Linda. Yes. You're a hobby demonstrator, but thinking about treating myself to some of your projects. Woohoo! Yes, a lot of people do treat themselves to mine. So no, just juicy. Usually just have to tap, but I really had to pull the stamp up. That's interesting. That's interesting, Linda. I would love for you to send me a video of what you're talking about. Okay. This right here, though, we're not quite done. So there's some coloring. Now, when it comes to your lighthouses, like I had to Google, Ashley, Diane, and I Googled lighthouses, and we wanted to figure out what color would look the best. And I went for red, but there's Pacific Point that is pretty cool too. So I'm doing my blend. My Stampin' Blend is in dark crumb cake, and I'm doing that near the top. Yeah, Linda, it really helps me to understand by seeing pictures and seeing videos. That would help me potentially help explain something. Now I'm going to take the light crumb cake. So Deanne sat next to Tammy Sikolik at the Scape, and we shared PDF, and she was very helpful with suggestions. Yes. That's what's so awesome about stamping with people, is you learn from others on how they do things and just different techniques, and absolutely. So I'm just taking the light crumb cake now, and I'm coloring the rest of the sand hill, the dune, with the light crumb cake. And I'm making sure to go over the dark as well. And I'm basically trying to get rid of that line. And then what happens is it fades from the dark to the light. And so you can see that at the top here, it's a little darker, and then it fades to a little bit lighter. That's what blends are for, is for creating that two-tone effect. So our lighthouse, though. So Stampin' Up! Has different watercolor sets. They have two, and they're called Assortment 1 and Assortment 2. And so there's different colors in these. And I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, I went with a red. I think it was real red. Mitzi, hi, from under the snow in Ohio. Yeah, we got a lot of snow last night too. I really haven't looked outside. It just all looks white. So fortunately, my cousin, I pay him to do my snow removal, and he had he or somebody helped do that this morning already. So this is real red, and real red, it looks like cherry to me, like a poppy parade-ish color. So I'm pretty sure that I went with the cherry cobbler one, which is in the assortment number 2. And that's this guy. So what I went, honestly, you guys, I went to the Google, and I looked up lighthouses, and then I clicked on the images at the top, and this is how I saw a lighthouse colored, and that's why I colored it this way. So with colored pencils, I started off back 20 years ago using colored pencils a lot, and I definitely transitioned to the blends because I just love how easy it is to color with the blends. With colored pencils, you get the streaky lines, and I'll show that to you in a second here when I'm done coloring this, the lines that you get, because they really are pencils and you get streaky lines. So you can see here the lines from my pencil, the up and down and the crossways, and really the way that you fix that is by using a blender pen. Seriously, these have been around for 20 years. I have one that's 20 years old. So this blending, it's a water-based solution kind of thing in here. And what you do is it blends the color so that it smooths it out really nicely. So it kind of takes away those lines. So if you're gonna color, I don't know if you guys can see that, like, what's happening, but it blends out and smooths it so that it is just like all consistent color that doesn't look streaky. Okay, I don't know if you guys are seeing how that's working here. And if you're missing color in a certain area, you're dragging the color to it, and you can't do too much. If you keep going over the same spot, you're gonna make the paper get matted and mushy. And so it was just gently going over, and once you hit that area, then when you're done, you take your blend and you wipe it out, and then now this can be used for a different color. So you can only use this with water-based stuff, not permanent coloring, but that's how we use blends. Now the cover is clear, but it's right there. Hi, Laura Wagon. So that's it for this coloring part of this card. Now, if you look at this card, we were very trying to be clever and creative with our little knot here. It's 2 strands, but it's a sailor's knot. It's actually the knot that is here, okay? So we dilly-dallied with it a bit to figure out how to do this. So you have 10 inches of linen thread in your kit, okay? And what you need to do is cut it in half. And I think it's way more than what you're gonna need, but I'd rather have it too long for you guys than not enough. So what we did is we cut it in half, and oh, you went over your sand with an adhesive eraser and it blended it out. That's awesome, Dan. Perfect. So what I did is I made a little loop on this end, and then I got the tails on this side. Then what happens? Oh man, I'll have to think about how this goes. So it's hard doing this one-handed, but I have the loop now on this side. This tail needs to come up, and then this tail needs to come up. And now when you pull these, it makes that sailor's knot, okay? That's how we got the knot. I'll show that to you one more time because I feel like you probably watched that and you're like, what did she just do? So let's start over. It took us a little bit to, like, Diane held one end and I held the other. It was like a team effort for us when we first did it. So you've got your loop on the one end, the tails on the other, holding it with one hand. You set this over the top. So the loop is there, and now the one end goes under and up, and then the other one goes under and up. And then you pull these 2 loose ends, and you pull these 2 loose ends, and you make that knot. So Linda Hall, you just asked, how do you give me my address? No, don't enter it in the comments, but you can see my email address is right here. You could email me, you could text me, you could Facebook message me. However, you could call me, but ultimately I need it written down so that you can give it to me. So Linda Hall, just email me or text me or call me or Facebook message me. So now that we have this done, I do have the knot on the other side. It's more on the left versus in the middle. And so now we're just gonna have to secure our tails. So we need some tear-in tape, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of that at the bottom here. Yes, Linda, I'm trying to think which card, it's sitting over here. So what you're gonna do is make your tear-in tape sandwich. Sorry, Penny, I did it twice. I'm hoping that you can catch that. Take a screenshot maybe. All right, so the tails now, I always put the tape back there, excuse me, and then from the front, I just make sure my tails catch where that tear-in tape is, and I might not have put it down far enough. I did not. I was up too high. So I need to do a little bit more tear-in tape because my tails are not catching. So I'm going to put it closer to the bottom this time. I didn't realize that my sandhill was down so low there. Okay, now again, I'm going to take and have that knot more on the left. I mean, you can put your knot wherever you want it. I just thought it looked nice off to the left. And from the front now, I can visualize here, see where I want my twine, and it catches the tear and tape on the back. And now I'm just gonna trim off the extra little bit that's here. And now this piece is actually popped up. So if I don't put tear and tape back over where my tear and tape is, it's gonna wanna stick there flat. So I'm putting enough tear and tape to cover up that tear and tape, and just gonna trim that a little shorter. Okay, like that. And I'm not going to pick off this tear and tape. If I picked it off and I use dimensionals, it's gonna kind of it's counterintuitive, where I want it to pop up. So I'm definitely gonna put a bunch of dimensionals here, not pick off that tear and tape. Because if I picked off that tear and tape, it would want to go flat there, and I don't want it to go flat there. So let's see what do we got left here. So now is where I start to Frankenstein my dimensionals, because I use every bit of that sheet of dimensionals. And if you would have picked off this tear and tape, it would have gone flat there while you're trying to pop everything off, and it would have been, or trying to pop everything up, and it would have made it kind of wonky is my word for that, like crooked. All right, so let's get these guys out of the way. And now this goes on to our card front. Don't squish it down flat until you have it exactly where you want it. Once you get it where you want it, that's where you can push it good. But otherwise you could have pulled it up and redone it. So, all right, this one has some of these white classic matte dots. So let's grab this one. So they have two small, like everybody got two small and a large one. And I like to grab my take your pick tool and use the putty. So there's the one, here's another, and put them wherever you want them, wherever you envision them. So just added a couple of them. You guys, I love to embellish, and I always love any sort of ribbon or twine on a card. And that would complete this first Lighthouse card. So wonderful. Wasn't so bad, right? A little bit of coloring, a little bit of masking in terms of the sun and masking in terms of the bird. So hopefully that might be new to you and you learned something. A little bit of blend use as well for coloring, using colored pencils. So you guys got a lot of assortment on this card of different tools that we used. All right, so let's put this guy back in here. Penny, you're still working on the knots. Okay, let me show you guys one more time how to do the knot. And oh, that's not going in. Let me grab two cords here. So let's see here. I'm gonna show you guys with something bigger. Since these are not plugged in. Okay, so I have two pieces of twine, right? In this case, phone cables. So you have a loop on this end, and you have two ends on this end that are loose. What you do is with your other one, you set the loop out over the top, and then the loose end goes from underneath, right? Underneath and over. Okay, now you grab both ends and it brings it together. That's what they call a sailor's knot. I think, I hope. I mean, that's what I assume. So that's what's the picture on the stamp set. So, okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You know, so you've got your loops, and then like this loop is going over and under, and then the other was under and over. So Penny, I hope that helps, okay? And everybody else to see that one more time. So let's put these back over yonder here. So, alrighty. So we got one done. Let's move on to our next one. We'll put that here. You guys, I didn't have a chance to look back at sale-a-bration class to do the drawing for those names yet, for those cards. So I don't have any cards to announce for winners today, but I'll make up for it at the Sweet Talk class. I'll have more cards there. So this one is the next card. So it is, cut it in half. Yes, Penny, you gotta cut it in half. You've gotta have two strings, basically. So in this kit, you guys, we have Good, Wendy. I'm glad that was a good demo on the knot. It took a little bit for Diane and I to figure it out, but once we got it, I think it's like riding a bike. So this one, you guys, your traditional A2 card size. I try to always line up my corners to make sure they're right as I'm burnishing. And you guys will have, in this case, 2 Night of Navy mats. You know what? One's for the inside. You see our inside looks like that. And one for our outside mat. And, oh man, I don't know if I can complete this card. I didn't put this white frayed ribbon in my kit. And I didn't put the navy in my kit. And, oh my God, I did! Oh, I was worried. Oh man, I surprise myself in a good way sometimes. So that's good, yay. So you guys should have your white frayed ribbon, about 6 inches, about 12 inches of navy twine. Wow, I'm so excited. Okay, your black is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. The white and the vellum. This is some of that layering vellum design paper. These are both 3 by 4 for matting. You have an inside white piece, 3 3/16 by 5 1/16. You guys have a strip like this. I don't know, you might have had 2, I don't know, I cut extra, so I don't know if you have 1 or 2 of those. And then you should have 1 of these little circles. Okay, the circle is a punch. It got punched out, I think it's 1 1/2. So you have a 1 1/2 inch circle. This guy's like 3/8 by something. You'll trim it down to whatever you need for your sentiment. Okay, oh, I'm so excited I have the ribbon. I can make my card. All right, let's do a little stamping. So in this case, we are going to need the navy ink. In the navy and memento. So let's clean these stamps really quick because squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. I need the block. So anchors away here and anchor. So when you're done cleaning, then what you can do is you just kind of, I grab my fingernail, like I don't grab my fingernail. I take my fingernail and I grab underneath the sticky part here. All right, Linda, we'll catch you later. Okay, then we can put our little compass on here. And we also have, I'm gonna put on here, You Are My True North, which is the sentiment that comes in the set. If you have something else that is long and skinny that fits on there, use whatever you have. And you could even get away with probably not putting the sentiment on the outside, and I think it would look pretty cool without it. So, all right, let's get rid of that, move this over here, and we're gonna stamp our compass. Now, when I give you a piece of die cut out something, and you have a red rubber, it's really hard. I would definitely not try to stamp it and figure out how to do it like that. If it was photopolymer, that would be different because you can see through, like when you have a photopolymer stamp, you can see through. So how I recommend you stamp is go upside down, and then you're gonna set your circle down. And then you can kind of eyeball where the edge of the stamp is and do it that way. That's like what I would recommend. Now, if you have a 1 1/2 inch circle punch at home and you want to stamp and then punch out, you can go for it. But I would definitely recommend trying your compass with the navy ink here. So you take your circle, you just set it right on the top, eyeball. And I would recommend taking a piece of paper. And then you can just put pressure all around it, upside down like this. And that is what you're doing. You're upside down marinating now. You're letting the ink transfer to the paper. And hopefully you provided enough pressure all the way around that when you take it off, you should have it stamped like that. Now, if you don't like it, there is a second side, you guys. So if you felt like you got too close to one side, you do get a second opportunity to do it again. So we're gonna try again and see which side we like better. It's that simple. And then on our inside over here, it was off to the side, we have another compass that we can stamp on our inside to match. That's our focal image. And let's see what happens with this guy. All right, that was a little better. So now our inside. Make sure if you want it to look that it's north, like look around. Let's see, where's our north? There's east. And so I tried to make sure when I put my sticker on, I put it on correctly, but it's okay. However it ends up is fine. All right, so there's our compass going on the inside. Nice. Okay. Yes, Sue, it's so hard. I want to give you guys the die cut pieces because you might not have the dies. And so with this card, this was a perfect example. This card right here, I just did the Winter Creative Escape. I had all these die cut and people stamped upside down and put the flower on upside down. And I would say 75% of people did really good and got their flowers centered on there so that they didn't have to recut them out. So in this case, I was hopeful that's what was going to work for you guys, is this upside down technique. And that's only because when you give out kits, it's like, well, you could just give a chunk of a scrap, but then what happens if I don't know. I hope that it makes sense to send you guys the die cutout pieces. I generally do that with all the classes except for ink, paper, scissors. With ink, paper, scissors, I go on the premonition that people generally have the stamp set and the dies for that. And so I just give like white paper and then people stamp and then die cut their own or fussy cut if they don't have the dies. We have one more thing to stamp, and it is actually our little sentiment here. And I used Memento, which I need to go get off the table really quick. I had class here yesterday and Memento was used in that class. And so it's just a Memento black, and it is You Are My True North. So I do highly recommend practicing with this because it's a little small area and you want to make sure that you know how your stamp is going to stamp on the paper. And I use the white edge as a guide, and I try to pretend that I'm stamping it straight and how far away from the edge it is. Okay. So pretty straight, and I can see it's about 1/8 of an inch away. So you get a couple shots of this, and if not, you can always cut yourself a new white piece of paper. New here, where do you get the stamp chamois? From me, if you want it. It's a Stampin' Up! Item, Dawn. It's a Stampin' Chamois. As soon as I'm done stamping this, I will open up the catalog and show you guys where it is. So I'm thinking that hopefully I did my practice round that I can get this guy. Oh, nice. See? I got it straight and I kind of eyeballed where I needed to go based off of my practice round. So that's good. Now, if you guys are not successful on your first round, you can flip it over and use the other side. So Dawn, you were asking about the chamois. So in the annual catalog, if you go to the back, there's a little index actually, and chamois is probably, if I'm not mistaken, not listed. Oh, it is. Simply Chamois, page 145. So this is something that you can, or if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you could definitely order it through me. The chamois is right here on page 145, and it's $8. And then you get cases. So the cases, this is just a stamp case that they sell them in a pack of 4, and they are the same case that you get when you get stamps. So it's the same case. So if you have any of the extra cases around, you could put your chamois in that. Some people put them in Ziploc bags as well, but I like just being able to open it up and use it. So I have a website that you can go to, and there's a link to my shopping cart, or you can go shopping from there. So let's do our gluing because we can. So the first thing, let's just glue the white piece for now. You're very welcome, Dawn. And that will go on one of the navy mats. Doesn't matter, the navy mats are the same size. And then that can get flipped over, and that will get glued on our inside. Aha moment, I love it. Those aha moments are amazing moments. It's like when the ding, ding, ding light bulb goes on. Okay, so now we have a little bit of work with this. If you guys wanted to, if you're at home and you would love to emboss this navy piece behind to give it a little texture, like water maybe, if you've got some ripples, you could definitely emboss that piece to give it some more character. But we decided not to because this was our Let's Just Stamp class. and we didn't want to do embossing or die cutting potentially. So what I'm doing now is I'm prepping the back of the Night of Navy piece with the tear and tape. And I'm doing that so that my ribbon has something to adhere to. So from the front, I like to look at it to get it where I want it. Knowing that I prepped the back with tape, all I have to do is flip my tails over, just like that. Okay, now a little bit more tear and tape goes over the top of that white frayed ribbon, which is, I think, one of my favorite ribbons, you guys. I've been designing the cards for the Stamp-a-Stack that's coming up in a couple weeks, and the frayed ribbon is part of that kit. It's so fun to work with because you can fray it. Michelle Heim showed me how to fray it in the Winter Creative Escape. I love it. So you guys, this does not wrap around in a circle. This is called ribbon conservation. So you're going to fold your ribbon in half, and you could cut it if you wanted, but I'm just going to leave the loop. And now I'm eyeballing from the front, and I can just flip that side over. Grab your tails for this side. You can have them closer together. You can put your navy further apart, but you can eyeball it from the front, and when you get them where you want them, you can just hold it and then flip them over like that. Okay, and then last but not least, I do add a little more tear and tape. I have learned that I'd rather have my ribbon not come out after a period of time and have it more secure and snug by adding that extra little bit of tear and tape. And tear and tape is just a double-sided tape that's on a roll. You can use it single-sided or double. So I do now add a little bit more glue around the edge like that. And then this goes right on the top of the card base. And then make sure you squish it good where your tear and tape is, because that will help secure that ribbon so that it doesn't like lift up there at all. It's gonna be nice and tight there. Okay, so we are gonna use that side. So I'm just gonna prep this with a couple dimensionals. Which side did I say we were gonna use? Yes, this side, okay. That side gets the dimensionals. Okay, so set that off to the side. Now vellum. Vellum is a tricky thing because you can see through it, right? And that means you can see your adhesive. So what we're gonna do is look at your map and see what makes sense. So it says words on here: Hormtown, Pardus, Smithstown. So I wanna make sure that I keep it this way because you can read it. But how do you adhere it? So if you look at this card, I wonder if I put a little bit, I put just little dots along the corner so that I did underneath this. So you can definitely put adhesive underneath where the compass is gonna be and where your sentiment's gonna be, because I'm just doing a thin little line because that sentiment's gonna cover it up. But then I'm just gonna go up in the corner and put a little bit. Now, Sarah Simon talked about this at the Winter Creative Escape too. If you wanted to, you could put some glue on a silicone sheet and then take a sponge and sponge the glue onto something like this, and then you definitely wouldn't see it either. So thanks for sharing, Terry. Hi, Marlene. Hi, Terry. So you're just going to adhere that to the white. So that made it really pop. Had you just put that vellum right on the black, it would have not popped like that. Your words and lines would have disappeared. Okay, then this is gonna get some liquid glue. Now, depending on yours, if you need to trim the white or trim your vellum a little bit, you can before we glue this down. And then this gets put on here. Oh, Holly, I just saw your comment that you love the chamois. I do too. I generally don't use the Stampin' Scrubs very much anymore. And the chamois is just perfect. You can travel with it. You can use the stamp cleaner in there as well. All right, then this will get adhered onto here. But because you have ribbon here, I don't want to put pop-up dots in the middle there because this ribbon is about as high as a dimensional. So what I'm going to do is put some dimensionals, a track of them at the top, and then I'm going to put a track at the bottom. And for good measure, I'm going to put a couple more just to the top and the bottom of this ribbon. Okay, so I'm trying to avoid this channel area here. And by the combination of the dimensionals on the black and the navy, it won't get any saggy middles. Okay, so then I did offset mine to the right slightly. I don't know, I liked seeing more ribbon on the one side than the other side. But if you are a centering type of person, you could put it right in the middle. And remember, you always gotta be happy with your cards and you make them the way you like them. And then this little guy goes next, and he's off to the side. Oh, check it. Oh, it's what, west and east, so I had it going right, but you can always change your compass however you want. So I've got that, something maybe like that. And then our little sentiment strip is over here. So this is where, depending on what you stamped, you are going to potentially cut it down. So I gave it long to you in case you had a long, skinny sentiment. I just take a scissors. You could banner your ends too, or you could like flag them, slant them, but I liked the up and down, just 90-degree look. Hello, Melissa from Massachusetts. Woohoo! Okay, so then this is gonna go here with a little bit of adhesive. I like liquid, just a little thin line of liquid glue. And put it where you like to see it. And then the last thing that got added to this are some black dots. So these are also part of those classic matte dots. And what I did is I put the big one in the middle of my compass. And then there are two more. I found points on my map. So like here, there's an intersection right there. And then I saw an intersection up here. So everybody's are gonna be different. Hi, Elaine Rebeck. I saw that you were here to get your order. I'm glad that worked out. Hi, Randy. So I connected them, trying to look for diagonals. That's how I like to put my my little embellishments on. Okay, I think that's it, you guys. Like, a sharp card, right? So you don't have to put You Are My True North. This would be a fantastic birthday, thank you, thinking of you card. Got something that you've got a little room on the inside to write. If you don't like that this flips up like this, what you could do is put a little dot of glue right on the corner, and hopefully that would help stick it down without seeing the glue. You could also do the same thing on here. Oh, you're very welcome. Is it Linda? No, wait. Vicky likes my explanations. Yay. I try to explain as much as I can, you guys, because I think it helps make more sense. Linda said she saw another video to use at a 4-inch two-sided tape that can be ordered from Scrap It Works. Great to use with vellum. Oh, yeah. Anything that you can use to help keep your vellum so that you don't see the adhesive behind. So, all right. Now I got my corners sticking good. So, all right. Perfect. So I have a thing that I gotta unstar that, I think. Okay, I got the comment off. So I hit something up here on my tablet, and I sure know how to spend money. Yes, Elaine, I think we all know how to spend money really well. We're good at it. I think we are conditioned to spend our money on stamps very, very good. So, all right, so we got that one done, and we're gonna work on our, oh yeah, this is my inside for my sample. You guys, I never glue my insides in for my sample. I keep them in the back so I can always see the outside. All right, so last, or I should say I could see the inside. The last card is a gatefold, and using Misty Moonlight with the basic gray and the Home and Hearth paper, and it opens like that. Oh, I think, let's see if I can, nope. Okay, hopefully I'm not freezing on you guys. Okay, so basic gray, Misty Moonlight, and white. So let's grab the last card kit here. And pulled in the New Horizons Designer Series paper. So that New Horizons, I should show you guys in the book what that looks like. Hang on one second. I've got my Designer Series paper sampler here. So the piece of paper here is actually, they're all like scenes. So this one is, it must be this one right here. So you would never tell or know that it's like that. So yeah, they're all like very cool background scenes. And let's see here, where do I have, my mini catalog. Well, I was going to show you in the catalog, but we'll keep going. I don't know if it's handy, but this designer series paper is from the Heart and the Home. You send card kits with the lands. Hey, Dawn, what is lands? LANS. I send card kits with the lands. I'm not sure what that means. So in your card kit, though, for this one, you guys would have gotten a piece of basic gray, and it's scored at 2 1/8 from each side. Okay, so that's how they meet in the middle. On this one, you get a misty moonlight matte and a white for your inside. So double matted again. Remember, I worked on these with Diane. And then you have the basic gray, misty moonlight, and you'll have a piece from the New Horizons. I accidentally stamped my birds on my sample already, but I'll show you how to do that. So this was a 6x6, and everybody got a 2-inch strip, and then it's cut down at the top and the bottom to fit nicely in here. The Heart and Home designer paper, so that's for your panels here. And then you guys got a piece like this. And this is big enough. I don't give you stamped die cut image. This was by the magic of TV. It's done already. So you guys will have a space here, and you're going to be, or a white piece. It's for you to stamp your sailboats. And so this piece is big enough for you to stamp a sailboat there and a sailboat there. Okay. So we'll do that. And then because it's not a class where we do die cutting, this is something where you'd have to fussy cut these. Now this stamp set though, it does come with dies. So if you own the dies for this stamp set, you could definitely not fussy cut. You could definitely die cut. All right, and so then I'm gonna make this one into a thanks. So this thanks comes from here. And let's see here, let's do our stamping first. Oh, you also have a piece of this cotton, this 1/8 inch ribbon and cotton ribbon in Misty Moonlight. And so we need basic gray for our thanks. So you gotta be careful because you're stamping right onto designer series paper. So you don't get a second shot, you guys. If you mess it up, you're gonna have blue, which isn't the worst. It looks like these poor sailboats are out in a stormy, cloudy night and they might get lost. So I'm going to practice here with my basic gray, and then I'm gonna go and stamp on directly onto my designer series paper near the bottom. Okay, let that ink sit for a second. So stamping directly on the designer paper, and then also for our birds. Hi, Feline, thanks for sharing. For our birds, we are gonna ink up and then stamp your birds at the top. So that's what gets stamped directly onto your designer series paper. The inside has a couple birds and a sailboat, okay? So the couple birds, so now I will have to ink them up. So we're gonna put a couple birds up in the top here. So kind of hanging out, flying through the air with the greatest of ease. Okay, and then landscape, aha, DSP. Oh, you mean card kits with the DSP? Yes, I include my card kits anytime I make a card that has designer series paper. I always cut and make what you see is what you get for your card kits from me. Okay, we also need memento. So our sailboats are stamped in memento. So let's do the sample over here. And so I talked about this little piece of paper you guys got. You probably think, oh my gosh, there's room for one sailboat, but no. Guys, this is how you need to stamp this to get your sailboats. Remember, paper conservation. So one sailboat will go there. And then one sailboat goes here. So I promise you, you can fit both of them in here. All right, so that's that piece for that. And then I also have a sailboat. I think I put the big one down there. Hi, Lisa Nealon. All right, so we're gonna stamp this guy in the bottom, just hanging out. And it's a thank you card. So I generally don't stamp more, but if you have some other stamps that you want to stamp, I'd stamp your sentiment like right about here at the top. Okay, so we got our sailboat stamped. I think that's it for our inky dinky do. All right, so let's glue, and we're gonna glue, and then we'll come back and do a little more, but we're gonna adhere this inside white mat in our designer series paper down. So the designer paper goes onto our Misty Moonlight. And before we do the next gluing, we want to get our ribbon on. So we're just going to let this one sit tight here for a second. And then this guy goes to our Misty Moonlight over here. And so that's good. That'll go on our inside. Our base here, remember I said scored at 2 1/8 from each end. So what I will generally do is I'll fold the one side down and burnish it. I'll flip it over, and as I am folding this in, I want to make sure that my seams meet very nicely and they don't overlap. So I'm holding it with, can you see the pressure in my left hand here? I'm holding this down with the seams closed, and then I burnish it. And now they're not overlapped at all, and they meet right in the middle. So they meet right in the middle without overlapping. And then what we can do is little glue here, little glue on these two. So let's prep these with some glue. If you guys notice, my adhesive of choice is always liquid glue for the ability to wiggle it around until you get it set in place. So we're going to do this one on the left side. So this designer paper is 5 1/4 by like 1 7/8, I think, so that you got that 1/8 inch margin all the way around the edge. Okay, and then open it up, and we can put this on the inside. And cool. So that's like that. And then now this. There is this Misty Moonlight ribbon. So this was such a skinny little thing, and it really didn't make sense to give you 2 pieces. So this, honestly, this one gets wrapped around. Okay, so, and I put my knot on the right hand side. So I definitely want to make sure I have more ribbon on this left side. Okay, Nanette, I'm glad that you put a comment in here. I do see that you emailed me about a set, so I'll make sure that I set aside a kit for you. Perfect. Okay, so this is now something that I just got. Actually, Jennifer Merle Hampshire talks about this reverse tweezers all the time. So if you need a second pair of hands, that's like, I just literally got this in the mail from Amazon yesterday. And so now it's holding that knot for me, and I can take the ends and secure it perfectly. Otherwise, I would have tried to finagle that with my hands. And it's a lot more complicated. So reverse tweezers. Yay, Jennifer, I used it. Woohoo! Hi, Debbie Schull, coming in late. All right. So I did pop this piece up with dimensionals. So I'm going to do probably 8 of them. And put them down here. So these reverse tweezers, you can get them on Amazon. They are handy. I've watched Jennifer make some pretty phenomenal bows with them. And, oh, Susan, you just got yours. Yeah, I got a pack of 3 of them. And so I have one down here, one upstairs, and I also put them in with my adhesive basket in case anybody wants to just get one for me. I think they ended up being like $4, so it was a good deal. What was it? No, it was, yeah, I think they were like $4 with like tax. Okay, so this one goes on here now. And let's make sure we get that good. Perfect. Now, the other thing too, we're gonna put this on here, but I am gonna pop it up. You could glue it flat, but you do not wanna put any adhesive here. So how do you do that without going over? I take and I put 4 more dimensionals on that left side. And then I'm gonna put 4 dimensionals close to the edge on the card base, right? So that's gonna guarantee us that we don't go over the edge. Dawn, I'm so happy you're getting some ideas and tips from this class. And now this, so you see what happens? I'm close to the edge here, close to the edge here. Now I can set this down where I want it to go. And I have just not gone over the edge, which is perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my ribbon scissors, trim my ribbon. And little tailsies. I know it's kind of going over the word thanks, so it's okay. It'll be all right. Somebody can still see that. Now our sailboats. So these guys, what did we do for coloring them? We used colored pencils again. And this time, because you've got purples and blues in, I definitely made a purple sailboat, you guys. Who doesn't want a purple sailboat, right? And then I think Pacific Point was the other one. And let's see, red goes there. So let's check these markers over here. So there is basic gray. So basic gray was used because the card base is gray. I didn't do crumb cake, I did gray. And then there's Pacific Point. So the same concept with these colored pencils is you color and then you need to go back and blend. So this little sail gets blue. And then I did gorgeous grape because a girl's got to have a purple sail for her sailboat. Oh my goodness. You guys, if you don't know me or you don't know that I love purple, I do love purple. So I do like, so red's good too, like a cherry cobbler's good, but I definitely would pick purple. And then basic gray for our boat, like that. Same with this little dude over here. All right, so purple went over here. So between the two colors sets of the blends, you get a good selection of colors. Now what you do is, I always make sure that's cleaned out. So you can see that I colored the one on the left and the one on the right here is splotchy and more white. By taking your blender pen, it smooths that out. But now you gotta make sure you get the color wiped out before you go to the next color. And then you just take the blender pen, color that. Now you gotta wipe it out. And then you go to the last color. Oh, I love it. I don't know if you guys can see the change, but like that side's all smooth and nice. And then that one's not done yet. And I'm gonna try to do it up in the air so you guys can see that transition. Okay. Now wipe out your color. Make sure you get all that color out so that it's good for the next one. Yeah. Okay. So now though, what you guys will have to do, if you have the dies for this set, you can go die cut them. Otherwise, you're going to have to get your scissors and fussy cut and go all the way around. And you're like, well, how did you do this? That is missing right there. I would take my scissors and you do need it. Like, let's say you don't have the dies. You just find a spot and just dig in and don't cut that little thing off. And then you're just going to, that's it. And then you're going to use the other side here. So you definitely don't need the dies if you don't want to. And now you would just continue cutting all the way around, right? I didn't do it for the little guy. That's too tight of an area. But that's how I would try to get this inside part here cut out if you don't have the dies, okay? So I'm not going to do that because you guys don't need to watch me cut. But that's how I would work on getting that inside area cut out. By the magic of TV, I have my sailboats done, haha. Yes, Jean Terwiller, you will be using your blender pen with these watercolor pencils all the time now. I can guarantee that. All right, let's flipper still skin them over. And we're going to pop up our sailboats. So in case, I think Nanette said that she wants a set of cards. I believe that Diane, so that mine would be gone, but I believe Diane then still has 2 kits left. So they would be just like my kits. She does them up just like mine. So you get all the embellishments, you get the designer paper, the ribbon, everything's kind of cut. You'll get your scraps for your sailboats. All right, so this guy's gonna go, so you can see the difference in this designer paper. This one has yellow in it, and this one's more purple. That is the same sheet of paper, you guys. So depending on what part of the designer paper you got, you are going to have differences, but they all generally will look the same. Okay, so just so you know, if you get, when you get the kits from me, some of you might have a strip like that. Some might have a strip like that. And then there's one more strip that has it's all purpley yellow along the top and then blue on the bottom. But in this case, that yellow wasn't carried over. Like this, there's probably one section here in the middle that fades the yellow and then into no yellow. So like the sunset's happening over on this side and not this side, but still very beautiful. Cards. This one looks like more nighttime, like the sun just set, and this one looks like the sun is setting. So yeah, we're not done. We need to embellish. Okay, so we have here the gray now. So there's the basic gray classic matte dots. You guys would have 3 in your kit. So a small, a large, and another small. So in other words, 2 smalls. So I think that completes the last card for this class. So I always like to bring in all 3 of them again and show them to you. Oh, Melissa, you really love this card. I'm happy. I love this one too. I love purple, so it's so cool. I not buy it's Laura, you didn't buy the DSP papers. Oh, maybe now you can. So you can get this Marvelous paper. It's a pack, a 6x6 pack. You get that free with a $50 order. So if anybody's needing to place an order, this is my current host code. A minimum order gets you a sale-a-bration item. So a $50 order gets you a sale-a-bration item and a free class with me that I have coming up. So this could be one of them as well. So again, which is your favorite, you guys? I think I'm partial to this one on my left here. So, I do love this. Like they would all serve a great purpose in bringing joy to somebody's day, whoever gets this one. Penny says the sailboats are her favorite. Anne says the paper is beautiful. Oh yes, that New Horizons paper is awesome. Hi, Betty Pyle. Thanks for joining, everybody. So what we're gonna do is we're going to do the drawing. Vicky loves them all. Laura says number 3. Perfect. All right, so we're going to flip the camera up and we're going to grab the class list. So I did write numbers next to 10 people who placed orders to get this class for free. Yeah, Debbie, I definitely agree. They're very universal cards for male and female. It's awesome. All right, so I am going to bring up a random number generator and I will also see if anybody placed an order from me since class started to see if I can add them to the board here. So let's just see here. Mary Hoffman did. Okay. So I think though that it wasn't an order, so I'm going to wait till I can process that one because it might not be 50. So I don't know if I can do it right now. So, but I did have 10. So I'm going to flip down, you guys. And I have there's 10 people that placed orders. So I have in here my number generator. So I'm going to click generate. Number 2, my favorite number, goes to Lynn Beasley. So Lynn, I have you down with the number 2 next to it. So now I'm going to circle it because the next time that you have a package going out, I will put a little surprise in there from my stamp and stash vault for an extra little thank you for your order for this class. So wonderful. So sounds like we will do the board here. I'm going to do that live probably on Monday night. So what happens is I have in-person class on Monday night. And at some point throughout the class, I ask somebody to hold the camera and we say hi to everybody and we do a quick drawing. So we will do that on Monday night. And I don't know, do you guys have any other questions? Anything that we need to go over? So Linda, I did not show the February cards at the beginning. I plan to do a separate Facebook Live separate Facebook Live on, I think I'm going to do it on Wednesday on my lunch hour. Wednesday's the 26th, and I need to design a gumball card yet, 2 Valentine's Day cards for bingo, and I feel like there's one more. Nope, I got the Artfully Composed cards done. I finished that last night before I went to my Christmas party. And I finished my last Sale-a-bration Hoorah Rah card. So I got to get everything kind of photographed and in order, and then my plan is on Wednesday to do that live showcasing all the February cards so you guys can see them all concisely in one video. What I will show you guys though is what I have coming up on Wednesday night though. I will flip this down really quick. You guys, I have on, let me see if I can get you guys back to watch comments. There we are. So I have this class on Wednesday night, and I do have kits for this one available. And these are kind of time sensitive because they're mainly Valentine's Day cards. So if anybody, I have maybe 8 sets of these left, thinking maybe 8. So if anybody's interested in this class, you could get this one free with a minimum purchase. You might as well do the 50 because then you get the Sale-a-bration item. And then you get a set of these 4 cards, includes all the, you guys, I used 4 different ribbons on this card. It was crazy. I just realized that when I'm like in class, I'm like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. So this one is free with a minimum $45 purchase, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do 50 and get a Sale-a-bration item. Or the kits are $23 mailed. And then the other class I have coming up right after that when I get back from Florida on that Thursday night, February 3rd, is the ink paper scissors featuring the plentiful plants. And this one is with a goodie bag. You get a roll of ribbon, you get the pack of embellishments, you get a quarter pack of the designer series paper, and I may have I have the card kits prepped for 10 more, and I would just need to get the extra stuff for the goodie bags for people. So definitely that one is awesome. If you guys want to sign up for that, just reach out to me. I can get you signed up for that. Pretty much ready to go otherwise. Okay, so that's what we've got pretty much left for my January classes. I know that ink paper scissors is February 3rd. Technically, it should have been in January, but with going to Florida for a couple days, it kind of messed up my schedule a little bit, so I couldn't sneak that in before the end of January. So, yeah. So, wow, we got 60 people still watching on a Sunday afternoon. I love it. So, thanks everybody for sharing the video with your friends and family. Thanks for tagging people. I have found that so many people that have had this shared with them say to me afterwards that they were so thankful that they had somebody share my videos with them because they have learned so much. I do a lot of tips and tricks. I'm very thorough with how I explain things. I hope I am. People have told me I am, so I think I am. So where will I be in Florida, Marcia? I'm going to be in Venice, Florida. So I fly in on Thursday. I arrive around 1, and we leave Tuesday morning bright and early. So I have basically Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Venice area. And I know that Lila Erickson is driving up to meet me at some point, I think Thursday night maybe. But I still need to make connections with her. But if anybody's in the Venice, Florida area, Sarasota, Tampa area, I won't have a car, but if you'd want to, well, I have my aunt and uncle, maybe they'll help me out with a car, but if we could meet somewhere close to there, or if you want to meet, I'd love to see you guys. I love to meet people in person and give hugs. So, all right. So you're very welcome, Cindy and Lori. I love sharing what I have with you guys. It makes me feel so rewarded that you guys appreciate it and learn from it and are inspired by what I share. So, and I love doing it. So great cards. The break in my week was so much needed. Good, Penny. I'm glad that we could get you a little break. So, all right, you guys. Well, I have a team swap party here in a half hour. And we had lovely bees making cards and swapping them. And then I have a team Zoom at 6 o'clock Central. So I've started once a month on the months that I don't have a quarterly meeting that I'm giving my team an hour or so to ask as many questions as they want. The thing is they have to bring a question and they have to share something. So it's my very first one tonight with my team. So hopefully we can help people learn a little bit. And yeah, so I've got a couple more things lined up today. So oh, Simone, I would love to meet all you guys. I wish that everywhere I go, like when I tell you where I am, I would love to meet up with people. It would be awesome. So I did that when I went to Michigan to a training. I was able to meet up with my mission girls in, I think it was Holland. We went up at an Applebee's, so that was awesome. So yes, all fun stuff, you guys. So everybody have a wonderful week ahead. It's crazy to say that it's Sunday, right? So I can't say have a good weekend. Have a wonderful week ahead. And make sure you do something for yourself this week. Make some cards or make a nice meal or hang out with your friends or your family. Just make sure you enjoy some time with those that you love. And you guys have a good week. Lots of sunshine, love, and hugs to you. And I will see you actually for Tip Tuesday. It might be live. It might be taped. I haven't figured that one out yet. So who knows? All right. We'll check you guys later. Love you. Bye.